Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're going to do a quick flight tutorial with the new gyro. I see a lot of people struggling with this on social media and Reddit. And a couple of key things to keep in mind with gyro is that it is a very finicky machine. Okay, so you'll definitely need to create a petrol cylinder. And the larger the petrol cylinder you have, the faster this thing will go. The more fuel it'll also consume. Additionally, you have your mooring cables here, which can anchor the gyro to the surface of your boat or any point of interest. It can also carry items. So these are actually towing cables, and they make carrying items like batteries, fuel canisters, Lazarus pods, and even storage containers much easier, and you don't have to carry them on your person. I personally use those to carry Lazarus pods with human seeds up to the Exodus launch pad, just to make my life a little easier versus climbing up the ladder for each one. Another thing I like to keep in these storage containers, some electrical cable, a small battery. You see some iron there. We'll come over here, and I've got a small petrol container, some fuel cables, and some plastic. The iron and plastic are for cable extenders in case I need those, and you can fuel up by connecting that to petrol. Okay? Another thing to keep in mind, if your gyro is damaged in any capacity, if it's 99% or less, it will not fly at optimal performance. It's not near as agile, not near as fast, and it's more difficult to come in for landings. So we're going to go ahead and demonstrate the versatility of the gyro real quick, and we'll go ahead and throttle up. And one thing to keep in mind is that you normally have a vertical takeoff, but if the winds are strong in one direction or the other, it may affect your takeoff and your landing. So for now, we're just going to kind of fly around, and you use your directional keys to move, but your gyro is always going to move in the direction that your mouse is pointing you. So just keep that in mind. If you try to do things like roll to the left while facing forward, you're not going to turn left. You're just going to roll to the left. So you want to kind of turn and roll at the same time. That'll make it a little more agile in its maneuverability. Okay, another thing to keep in mind, anytime you tilt forward or tilt back or roll left or right, you are losing your altitude. So make sure that you're keeping your throttle fully engaged, especially while you're conducting these maneuvers in the air, because you'll see how quickly you can fall out of the sky. So just keep that in mind. You'll want to keep throttling up. Another thing you can do is tilt back and you'll gain altitude, but you'll lose speed. But you can see here the maneuverability of this thing is not as terrible as some people are saying. Once you get used to it, it's just like anything else in this game. Practice makes perfect. So we'll come in and we'll make a landing here at Sanctuary Dock 12, just for the sake of seeing how you are supposed to land and take off with this machine. As you come in, we're going to land here on the side of these solar panels. Actually, we're going to land right here next to the power control room. So we're going to come out, make sure we've got plenty of space to approach. And as we get close to our point of contact, we're going to tilt backwards on the joystick and drop our throttle. And this just kind of stabilizes us on our approach. You don't want to come in too fast, and you don't want to come in too steep. And there we go. Throttle all the way down, and we'll get out and inspect our gyro. Okay, we're still at 100%, and we only used a little less than 100 liters of our petrol, but that's how you would make a landing. And let's just say you do land in an area that is pretty tight fit, and you need to move the gyro out of the way. You can actually grab hold of it and move it around. But keep in mind, if you have items in these containers, that additional weight does make it a little more difficult to move the gyro. What you can do, especially if you're maxed weight, you can hop in the cockpit and throttle up just barely, just enough to get the prop spinning. That will allow you to move the gyro much easier without having to expend a whole lot of energy. So we'll go ahead and hop back in our gyro, and we'll go ahead and take off. We'll throttle all the way up. We'll tilt it forward, and now we will head back to our boat. You don't want to come in too steep on a boat landing just because you're already near water level. So again, while you're moving and maneuvering in the air, you'll want to bank in the direction that you turn. That is a more efficient way of flying without having to use a great deal of fuel in the process. So we're going to go ahead and start throttling down and tilting back. And we're going to find a nice little soft spot to land on our boat. So the boat's a little more tricky. You have a lot less space to work with, so you'll want to be very careful on your descent and have a nice open area available on your boat to use to bring it in for a little landing. You can just barely tap the backwards button to lean back, and that'll kind of stabilize you where you are. But as soon as you start to throttle down, your gyro will move again. So you definitely want to have a nice open spot to be able to land this bad boy in. But as soon as you set it down, throttle all the way down, you hop out, and just move it wherever you want to store your gyro. But it's as simple as that, folks. Just like everything in this game, practice makes perfect. The more time you spend flying the gyro, the much better you'll become. Now, I'm not saying that I'm a professional by any means, but I have put a little bit of time in getting a little better acquainted with how to operate and effectively use the gyro. So I hope this helps the new players and everybody else struggling in the last Caretaker update 4.0, the scrap gyro quest. This thing is amazing and it makes your life so much easier as a caretaker. For now, you guys leave your likes, comments, do all the socials below, and make sure to leave some feedback and ideas for future content. This is Martyr signing out, and you guys know to be good or be good at it.